Can God change your life in the next 30 minutes? I believe you're watching right now because God has something special for you. Join me for Jewish Voice and you'll discover how Bible prophecy is coming to pass before our very eyes and why you need to stand with Israel. You can play a role in God's end-time plan. Find out how on Jewish Voice. Welcome to Jewish Voice, where we help you to understand the Jewish roots of your Christian faith, Bible prophecy, and why you should stand with Israel. I'm Rabbi Jonathan and I'm joined again today by my co-host, Ezra Benjamin. And what an exciting time, Ezra.
Yeah.
We've taken our Lost Tribe Discovery Center online, and we are actually tracking, and we're in contact with, and they're contacting us. We're talking about lost tribes, Jewish people, that God said, I'll scatter you to the uttermost parts of the earth, but I will bring you back. And Ezra, we're living in those days where God is fulfilling His word. He's restored the Jewish people back to the land of Israel. He's restored Jerusalem as our capital. Now the U.S. says we align with that. And Ezra, we are living in the day when Bible prophecy is being fulfilled before our very eyes.
What an incredible time to be alive,
It's an
Jonathan.
incredible time.
You know, Yeshua said to the disciples, the prophets longed to see the things that you see. And we're seeing them, and you're seeing them. And I know we're going to get right into that today, talking about some of the things the prophets long to see that we can see in this generation.
Yeah, you know, Ezra, I read a lot of books on the last days because one of the things we do here in this program is to help Christians understand the times we live in.
Yeah.
And the role that Israel plays in Bible prophecy, because Israel, the Jewish people, are central to Bible prophecy.
Yes.
And I read a lot of books. So many of them talk about the restoration of Israel in 1948. Most of them talk about Jerusalem in 1967, the Six-Day War, and Jesus saying that Jerusalem would be trodden down by the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And so they recognize the importance scripturally, prophetically, of Jerusalem being restored.
Right.
Here's what's missed, though. I will regather. Actually, I want to read it. Here's what's missed, as an end-time event. And it clearly is identified as an end-time event. Isaiah chapter 11, you know it very well.
Verse
it's
11.
one of our, verse 11.
Yeah.
And this is one of our foundational scriptures at Jewish Voice. First of all, it talks about an age of peace. It's talking about the Messianic age. Then it talks about the second return of the Jewish people before the time of Jesus' return. And he says, I'll actually go back to verse 10. It says, it will also come about in that day that the root of Jesse will stand as a banner for the peoples.
Yeah.
The nations will seek him and his resting place will be glorious. Now that doesn't really make sense until you look at it in the Hebrew. In the Hebrew, the word is goyim, nations. What it says is that the nations are the ones, the Gentiles are the ones that will find the resting place of the Lord in the Messiah.
Wow.
That's talking about Jesus. It's talking about the nations, the Gentiles recognizing him while Israel remains blind.
Amazing.
Blinded to Jesus as Messiah. So there you have a prophecy of the Messiah being recognized by the Gentiles. But then verse 11 goes back to Israel and it says it will come about in that day.
Right.
In Hebrew, by Yom Hahu, in that day, that my Lord will again redeem a second time with his hand the remnant of his people who remain from Assyria, from Egypt, from Pathros, from Cush, Elam, Shinar, Hamath, the islands of the sea. Cush is Ethiopia.
The historic kingdom of Ethiopia, the present-day nation of Ethiopia.
Cush is mentioned by name, Ezra.
Yeah.
It's saying that in the last days, one of the signs of the end will be my regathering of the scattered tribes, the lost tribes of Israel, back.
Right.
Back to where? Back to the land of Israel, back to their God.
Right. I love that verse, Jonathan. As you mentioned, it's
too.
so central to what we're doing as a ministry around the world. And the Hebrew there, that the Lord would stretch out his hand a second time. And we know the hand of the Lord represents his power, his strength.
Yeah.
So in essence, it's saying that in our generation, God's putting his power and his strength into regathering our people.
Yeah, notice also the second time. The first time was the Babylonian captivity. The Babylonian Jews, a remnant of the Babylonian Jews in 516 BC, returned to rebuild Jerusalem, to rebuild the temple. That was the temple, the second temple that Jesus ministered in after it was beautified by Herod.
Right.
That was the first regathering. The second is the state of Israel and the continual regathering of the tribes as they're identified.
So the first regathering, Jonathan, was what's talked about in Ezra and Nehemiah, right? That return from Babylon. But the second regathering, until a few decades ago, this was a problem, right? Because believers around the world know that God's a promise-keeping God. You know God's a promise-keeping God, but there was a problem. There's these promises about all the remnant of Israel, all of the tribes of our people coming back to Israel, and yet nobody saw it happen.
Ezra, until the 1980s, the claims of the Ethiopians, the Beta Israel, the House of Israel, were ignored.
Yeah.
The Lemba were unknown. Of course, we had the northern Jewish community occupying Russia, the former Soviet Union, but they were cut off behind the Iron Curtain.
Right.
Now there's over 1 million Russian-speaking Jews that have returned to Israel.
Living in the land of Israel.
Yeah, it's interesting that this is mentioned specifically in Bible prophecy in Jeremiah 16, that the day will come in those days when God will no longer be known as the God who brought us up out of Egypt.
Right.
Talking about the Passover, the watershed event in Jewish history, but will be known as the God who brought you out of the North Country.
Yeah, I love that verse.
That's the return of the Russian-speaking Jews to their land.
Amazing.
It's happening.
Yeah, and in Isaiah, Isaiah is saying that God will say to the north, give them up, and to the south, do not hold them back. And we know that Russia, former Soviet Union, collapses and gives up its Jewish people to the land of Israel, but nobody understood what it meant by say to the south, don't hold them back. But we're seeing it today, Jonathan.
We're seeing it today in the discovery and restoration of African Jewish communities that were scattered as far back as possibly the time of Solomon. Not scattered, but migrating back to the time of King Solomon.
Amazing.
It is amazing, and Christians need to understand that this is Bible prophecy that's connected with the last days. In other words, end-time prophecy being fulfilled. It's not just the Antichrist and the mark of the beast. It's the return of the Jewish people back to their land.
The promise-keeping God keeping every one of his promises. And it's Bible prophecy coming to pass in our lifetime, in your lifetime at home. You know, Jonathan, this DVD, Quest for the Lost Tribes, that we're offering you at home today actually changed my worldview about our people and where we are in the world and what God's doing with us. This is not a dramatization. This is real footage of real Jewish people scattered in the nations and how we're being regathered. It's a fantastic resource.
And we want to make it available to you.
Yeah.
We don't sell products here at Jewish Voice. We create resources to sow into your life as a way of thanking you, of building your faith, and it's a thank you partnership blessing for enabling us to bless the Jewish people. If you love the Jewish people, the greatest blessing you can give them is the gospel, and we do that by providing medical care, dental care, eye care, water purification, clothing, all free of charge in the name of Yeshua, and then we share our faith. You can be part of that today. You can give a one-time gift, and we'll send you the DVD and a beautiful map. This is a unique Lost Tribes map. We'll get these out to you, but I really encourage you, become a monthly partner. For $30 a month, you'll be providing care to Jewish people and the gospel every single month. And we'll also send you this beautiful Lost Tribes book. It's a Jewish Voice exclusive. It's absolutely beautiful. We want to sow that into your life today if you'll partner with us monthly. And we'll tell you how to do that in just a moment. We have to take a quick break, but don't go away. When we return, we'll be at joining our Lost Tribes Discovery Center. We're going to take you there just online. It is so exciting. God is restoring the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and you get to be part of it. Don't go anywhere.
As you are learning today, Jewish tribes have been found in Africa, India, and other parts of the world, holding onto their traditions and their belief in the one true God for centuries. However, they're among the poorest and most persecuted people on earth. Today, you have an opportunity to make a change in their lives. When you support Jewish Voice with a one-time gift of $40, Jonathan wants to thank you for your help by sending you Quest for the Lost Tribes, an incredible documentary featured on A&E. This video uncovers the truth of how the 10 tribes vanished and where they have now been found. In addition to the DVD, you will also receive the Lost Tribes map, tracing the ancient Silk Route and denoting the location of the Jewish tribes you are helping today. We'll send all of these resources out to you right away as you support Jewish Voice Outreaches with a one-time gift of $40 or more. Your gift will help us share the gospel and change lives for these lost tribes. Call the number on the screen now so we can get these resources out to you today. If you would like your giving to make a long-term impact, Jonathan is encouraging you to join him today as a monthly partner. As you do, you will be providing the funds necessary for one person to receive dental care. As you join us with your monthly support of just $30 today, you will not only receive the DVD documentary and the map, but Jonathan will also include this African box plaque, reminding you of the part you are playing sharing the gospel around the world. We'll also send you this beautiful Lost Tribes of Israel photo book, featuring the history and images of the various tribes which Jewish Voice Outreaches are helping. Again, you will receive all of these resources for your generous support of just $30 a month. Your gift today can change a life, providing the opportunity to not only meet physical needs, but also the chance to share the love of Jesus in a very real and personal way.
One of the most impactful experiences, and I've had this over and over again, is when mothers bring their children. I remember one time a mother was carrying her dying child, and this child was within days of dying, and just looking into her eyes, hopelessness. She was absolutely hopeless. She was in despair. She knew her child was going to die without a miracle. We were able to provide that miracle. We rehydrated the child. We gave the child some simple antibiotics. When she came back to the clinic a few days later, she wasn't carrying her child. She was walking alongside the child, holding the child's hands, and the child was smiling. She was smiling. And I looked into her eyes again, and hopelessness had been replaced with hope. Despair had been replaced with joy and thankfulness. I will never forget the look on her face that day. You make that possible. You may not be able to come to Ethiopia, but you can send us and you can save the life of a child. You can turn a mother's hopelessness into hope, despair into joy.
Call our 800 number now and let our representative know what level of giving you would like to participate in. Your one-time gift today will be used to bring the gospel of hope to thousands around the world. And if you would, please consider becoming a partner with Jewish Voice. Your gift of just $30 a month would be greatly appreciated. If you prefer, you can always choose to give online at jewishvoice.tv, or you can also donate by mailing your gift to the address on the screen. Thank you in advance for your generous support of Jewish Voice and for making a difference in so many lives through your sacrifice. Now, let's rejoin Jonathan and Ezra.
Well, a very exciting moment. Welcome to our Lost Tribes Discovery Center. Ezra, this is awesome. We're up and running.
Yes, just recently up and online here, Jonathan. We have a couple of our staff with us today looking for scattered Jewish people called the Lost Tribes of Israel, wherever they are in the earth. We're forming relationship with them. We're doing ministry alongside them. It's awesome.
I think we've been working on this for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
This is a 2-year project that's finally come to fruition. The Lost Tribes Discovery Center.
Yes.
Ezra, what are we looking at behind us?
Right, Jonathan, behind us we have a couple of maps and some other supporting data showing us where major Jewish population centers are in the world, but I'm not talking about the New York City Jewish Population Center or London or Tel Aviv or Jerusalem. We're talking about Jewish communities that are still unrecognized by a lot of the world, and maybe before today you've never heard of them, but these are Jewish people who have maintained their identity for thousands of years outside the physical physical land of Israel found today.
So we don't have maps of Israel or Jerusalem. I know many of the people watching love Israel, love the state of Israel, love Jerusalem. We do too. But God has given us a mandate as a ministry to go to the highways and the byways. Right, Ezra?
Yeah, mostly the byways.
And to seek out Jewish communities in need to help them and to proclaim the gospel.
Exactly.
Okay, so tell us about some of the places that we found Jewish people and how they got there.
Sure, Jonathan. We've been working in Africa, down the eastern seaboard of Africa, Ethiopia, Zimbabwe, Zambia, southern Africa, South Africa for a number of years. One of the areas that has been most exciting to work in, though, is actually thousands of miles off the African continent, and it's in the Far East. It's in India, actually the northeast corner of India, right near the Myanmar or the Burmese border. There's a group there called the B'nai Menashe.
Okay, so wait, you're telling me that there are Jews in India, other than just the ones in Mumbai and Delhi that are already recognized by the Jewish community?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. And to fly there, to get to where these Jewish people live, you actually have to go just south of Mount Everest. Believe it or not, on the border of India and Nepal, you see Mount Everest out the plane window, and then an hour later you land in an area of northeast India. Actually, it's contested territory. It's difficult even to get in there and get a permit to go. And there's a group called the B'nai Menashe, children of Manasseh.
When God said, I will scatter you to the children of Israel, he really meant it, didn't he?
He meant it.
My gosh, Ezra.
You couldn't go farther around the world from where we are here in Phoenix, Jonathan, than it takes to get to the B'nai Menashe.
So you said B'nai Menashe. Can you unpack that?
Yeah.
B'nai Menashe.
Yes. B'nai in Hebrew means children. It's a plural form, many children. And Menashe is the tribe of Manasseh, from one of the original 12 tribes. We know there's Levi, Benjamin, Judah. One of the 12 tribes, sons of Jacob, is Manasseh. So the B'nai Menashe are self-identified as, we are the children of Manasseh.
Now, how do they connect themselves? There's nothing about the tribe of Manasseh after the Assyrian captivity.
Right. The Assyrians take the 10 northern tribes called the Northern Kingdom, called Israel, out of the physical land of Israel.
2,750 years ago,
and they disappear off the scene,
Yeah.
seemingly never to be heard from again. But then if you look at world history, we know there was this thing emerging out of the Assyrian Empire called the Silk Road, right? I think you've heard of that at home. This chain of empires that was a trade route that went from the Middle East into Central Asia all the way over to what today is China. And what we find, amazingly, miraculously, is that if you look at what historians have written about these areas, Jonathan, all along the Silk Road is evidence of Jewish people, specifically by name, those 10 northern tribes, having settled and migrated along the Silk Road all the way into China. And one of the stops they made was Myanmar, Burma, northeast India, where the B'nai Menashe live today.
So they were they were traveling merchants.
Yes. They made lemonade out of lemons, we could say, and they took an exile and made a business out of it.
And maybe some silk along the way. So their claim is they're direct descendants of Manasseh, the tribe of Manasseh.
Exactly.
And they ended up in these remote areas of Mizoram, Manipur, India.
Exactly.
Which is, oh my gosh, it's far to get there.
It's incredible. And like so many of these scattered groups, Jonathan, if you look at them, they look a lot like the people they live alongside. So in the case of the B'nai Menashe, they look Burmese or Northeast Indian, but they also look Semitic. And if you compare other Jewish people with Jewish features, if you will, around the world, and then you look at a B'nai Menashe man or woman, you say something's different. Yeah, they look like they're from Myanmar or from India, but something here is different. It's amazing.
So how did they survive? We're talking about over two millennia.
Yeah.
We're talking about between 2,000 and 3,000 years.
Right. Well, they survived the same way maybe our parents told us to survive, stay Jewish. And so they stayed Jewish. And we say in Hebrew, ledor v'dor, from generation to generation, people passed on the oral tradition. Where do we come from? They want their children to know we come from Israel.
Now, we've been working with these B'nai Menashe.
Yes.
And Israel, I want to then talk about what does Israel say about
Sure.
this, but talk about Jewish Voice's involvement.
Sure. Well, Jewish Voice formed a relationship with some of the leaders in the B'nai Menashe community in Northeast India about 10 years ago, and we were able, through that relationship and through some other partnerships with local believers who had a passion for Jewish people being reached in their area, to hold a series of medical outreaches. We found that the B'nai Menashe had medical needs, like so many of our people around the world, and so we were able just to meet physical needs, to open a door to meeting spiritual needs, and to share, you are not forgotten. The Lord knows where you are. He's remembered you in your suffering. He's remembered you being scattered, and He's regathering you to Himself, and we believe to the land of Israel.
It's
incredible.
Incredible. And Bible prophecy being fulfilled, because God said that although I will scatter you, I will not forget you.
Right. I'll remember you. I love that. He says, if you see the sun rise in the morning, remember that I'm keeping my covenant with Israel.
I wonder, would these people would there be a B'nai Menashe if God didn't declare that as long as the sun shines by day and the moon and stars by night, I'll preserve you?
History would indicate we should have come to nothing. We should have been destroyed, but yet we exist in India and around the world.
Ezra, this is such a huge fulfillment.
It's incredible, Jonathan.
Of prophecy, and so many overlook it. I bet many of you watching had no idea that God was restoring the lost tribes of Israel in connection with His promises of the last days.
Right. Jonathan, one of the resources that helped me best understand this in just between 60 and 90 minutes is this DVD that we've actually helped to distribute around the world called Quest for the Lost Tribes. This DVD explains, it's not a dramatization, it's real footage of real Jewish communities around the world. How did they get there? Why are they there? How are they coming back to the land of Israel? It's all in here, and we want to get this into your hands.
I worked with this director, and it was commissioned by A&E, so it's a really well-done piece of work. We haven't offered it in a long time, but with the Discovery Center now in operation, I wanted to put this back on the map, so to speak. And I want to sow this into your life along with a beautiful Lost Tribes map for your gift to help us reach the Jewish people in remote areas of the world. We couldn't do what we do without you. We just couldn't do it. And your support makes it possible to provide dental care, medical care, water purifiers to Jewish people that don't have access to clean water. Imagine that. If you want to bless the Jewish people, I can't think of a better way than to partner with us. And I want to encourage you to become a monthly partner. Your monthly partnership will enable us to do things like eye surgery. When I see kids the same age as my kids that have distended stomachs because they're in need, I want to sell everything and help them. You can too. Become a monthly partner. You don't have to sell everything, but just $30 a month will help Jewish kids in places like Ethiopia. I also want to send you a beautiful Lost Tribes of Israel book. It's a coffee table book that we put together. It will really, really touch your heart. These are just our ways of saying thank you for partnering with us. We have to take a short break, but we'll be right back with more of our Lost Tribes Discovery Center. This is Bible prophecy in fulfillment that you get to be part of, so don't go anywhere.
As you are learning today, Jewish tribes have been found in Africa, India, and other parts of the world, holding onto their traditions and their belief in the one true God for centuries. However, they're among the poorest and most persecuted people on earth. Today, you have an opportunity to make a change in their lives. When you support Jewish Voice with a one-time gift of $40, Jonathan wants to thank you for your help by sending you Quest for the Lost Tribes, an incredible documentary featured on A&E. This video uncovers the truth of how the 10 tribes vanished and where they have now been found. In addition to the DVD, you will also receive the Lost Tribes map, tracing the ancient Silk Route and denoting the location of the Jewish tribes you are helping today. We'll send all of these resources out to you right away as you support Jewish Voice Outreaches with a one-time gift of $40 or more. Your gift will help us share the gospel and change lives for these lost tribes. Call the number on the screen now so we can get these resources out to you today. If you would like your giving to make a long-term impact, Jonathan is encouraging you to join him today as a monthly partner. As you do, you will be providing the funds necessary for one person to receive dental care. As you join us with your monthly support of just $30 today, you will not only receive the DVD documentary and the map, but Jonathan will also include this African box plaque, reminding you of the part you are playing sharing the gospel around the world. We'll also send you this beautiful Lost Tribes of Israel photo book, featuring the history and images of the various tribes which Jewish Voice Outreaches are helping. Again, you will receive all of these resources for your generous support of just $30 a month. Your gift today can change a life, providing the opportunity to not only meet physical needs, but also the chance to share the love of Jesus in a very real and personal way. Call our 800 number now and let our representative know what level of giving you would like to participate in. Your one-time gift today will be used to bring the gospel of hope to thousands around the world. And if you would, please consider becoming a partner with Jewish Voice. Your gift of just $30 a month would be greatly appreciated. If you prefer, you can always choose to give online at jewishvoice.tv, or you can also donate by mailing your gift to the address on the screen. Thank you in advance for your generous support of Jewish Voice and for making a difference in so many lives through your sacrifice.
I'm telling you, this is a great opportunity. You can get involved. You can be part of Bible prophecy being fulfilled. You can just watch from the sidelines, or you can actually be a blessing to the Jewish people. You may not be able to go to India or Africa, but you can send us. And when you send us, the gospel's being proclaimed, and you're part of that process.
Yeah.
How shall they hear unless one proclaim? They need to proclaim so that people can hear and believe, and God is giving you an opportunity to be part of that. We're featuring this week for you that will become monthly partners, and we're talking about $30 a month. You can't even get a meal anymore, a good meal, for $30. But if you'll commit to $30 a month, here's what we're focusing on this week. Your monthly gift of $30 will provide dental care to repair damage, relieve pain, and cure infections, and more to one individual. So for $30, this is a really good deal.
Yeah.
We're going to be providing, through you, dental care, in many cases, to children or to seniors that can't even eat. Mm-hmm. And we're going to fix those dental problems for $30 a month. That's what we're going to do. We're going to focus on this week.
Yeah, Jonathan, we see people coming into our outreaches, survivors in Israel, Holocaust survivors in Israel, but also Ethiopian Jews and Zimbabwean Jewish people, and they've been suffering for 2-3 years with pain in their mouth. If we have the issue, we deal with it in a day. They've been waiting years.
Yeah, listen, don't miss this moment.
Yeah.
You'll go, if you say, I'll do it later, don't put off what you can do right now.
Yes.
Pick up the phone and call right now and become a monthly partner. I'm telling you, the lives of Jewish people and their neighbors depend on it. Don't miss the opportunity. Hey, listen, if you have prayer needs or you'd like more information about our ministry, you can log on to our website. It's jewishvoice.tv. We're here to pray for you. We're here to stand with you because God loves you, and so do we. Well, as we close our program, I want to remind you, as I do every week, to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Psalm 122:6 says, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. It's an exhortation. May they prosper who love thee. Well, that's all the time we have until next week. This is Jonathan Burneth with Ezra Benjamin saying shalom and God bless you.